You know the one who never blinks through chaos. Tape the truth off late night cable. We grew up on static and midnight shows. MTV raised us, you already know. Latchkey hearts and wild-eyed dreams. Feral minds tearing at the seams. You say it's too much to unpack, but I see your weight and I've got your back. Talk to me, I'm that Gen X friend. No judgment here, just truth and a Walkman blend. We screamed at the world, no one replied, but we danced through it all, yeah, we survived.
Good morning. Welcome back to that Gen X Friend podcast. I'm sure you just saw me like before it cut through. I was fidgeting. Yeah. Anyways, it took me about an hour and a half to get to recording this morning because, updates. Man, it was numerous, and so I got all anxious and fidgety, even more so. So anyways, before I start, as usual, I want to give a shout out to MB Radio. Thank you. Thank you for this platform. Thank you so much. So let's start. I was all ready to record earlier, but because I had a strong pull to share this message this morning, because I had thought about quite a few topics I wanted to talk about and share. But this one, it was this morning when I was praying that it sort of came through, because I have for those who have listened to my podcast before and follow my journey, I said I'm going through, sort of a life transition, right? Changing up my environment because my life was it needed an overhaul for many, many reasons. And so I made that another move. God, so many moves. I don't even want to talk about how many moves I've done in my life. I mean, like moving from one place to another, right? But this move, I've completed it, and settling down has been a process, has been a journey in it of itself. And for the first time in my life, of all of my life, I feel like being here and taking this opportunity to actually change my life. This time is actually not so much like, oh, I'm just going to move and everything's going to be all right. I'm going to do something, My last podcast was on New Year's resolutions, but based on that podcast, it's like we can do that anytime. So sometimes when it's drastic, especially for people in the military, like, oh, it's a new environment, everything's going to change. Not thinking that, sure, the place, your home address, all that stuff may change, but you're still the same person, or I was still the same person. I was still carrying the same, I have a ton of pop-ups because I think all the updates I did. Sorry about that. So anyways, I never thought that, oh, well, sure, your physical location may have changed. You might be a new state, new country, whatever. But you're still the same person. So whatever you were carrying in the last place, you're going to carry it here. It's still the same. Because, yeah, I didn't bother moving whatever was in here, either, throw it out or clear it out because I didn't need it anymore. And I suppose I'm wiser now. I like to think that. Older and wiser. I'm definitely older. Not sure if I'm wiser. I want to think that I'm wiser. And this move was a very intentional move. And I really wanted to not just physically change location, but work on my mental, like all the baggage. Do I need this? Am I hoarding all this crap? So basically, that's how I came to this topic, because I've had time to actually sit down after doing what I crossed off my to-do list for today and sit down and watch some movies or just enjoy some peace of mind. I never felt that before, honestly. Not the way. This time it's real. It's not me fooling myself. It might be brief. The little piece that I experienced might be brief because I've lived my life sort of always anticipating for the other shoe to drop or something to happen. Anyways, not going to draw it out or anything, but I actually been watching some of my DVDs, right? Or listening to CDs. So it's awesome not having to listen to commercials and stuff like that. Just, anyways, so I've been watching a lot of DVDs. It's sort of like a healing thing. I watch stuff I used to watch when I was younger, like the older movies I have. And one of the movies I watched, which was the one that I guess really brought this topic to my brain. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I cried a bit after watching this movie. And for those who've ever heard of it or who've ever seen it, the movie's called The Butterfly Effect. I watched it the other day. And it's been years since I watched it. And I always enjoy the movie because it was so very intriguing, the whole concept of it. But I had only seen the theatrical version and not the director's cut. So I was like, okay, cool, let me watch the director's cut. And even though I've seen it before, it's been a long time, I knew the premise, I knew what was going to happen, technically speaking, until the end. And the director's cut version blew me away. I was dumbfounded. I shut off the TV. I was like, oh my God, I didn't expect that. Holy moly. It right now I have this, it's not like anxiety, thing in the pit of your stomach, but that sort of, I related to that scene in my own way. So for anybody who's just listening or just whoever's watching too, just know that I'm going to be covering some rather uncomfortable topics dealing with mental health and psychological health and the states that we can get in, because I'm going to use examples in my life and why that movie, The Butterfly Effect, impacted me so. But before I begin, I do get into that whole topic. The title of today's podcast is that your life has a divine purpose. And I will explain why I had to say it and why this movie mattered. It made me think so much. I don't want to cry. I've cried a lot lately, apparently on podcasts. But so okay, how does this start? So for anybody who's seen the movie, I won't go into it, but for those I won't go into the director's cut ending, but for those who have not seen the movie, I said if you can watch it, if it's something that you want to watch, go ahead and watch it. If not, no spoilers here, but you can look up the theory. But it basically just the movie is about this one man's quest to right what was wrong in his life because he has the ability to. And I don't know how many times have you thought about it, because I've thought about it, fantasized about it so much in my life, all throughout my life. I'm like, oh, I wish I can go back to do this, or I wish this didn't happen. I wish I can change this or make this better or whatever. And the sad thing about it is that each time this man went and did it, it never resulted in what he thought it was going to be. And it ended up like the consequences of messing with, even though he had the ability to, messing with or going back to change things with knowledge of what had happened, that he had lived to change, but he didn't know what could happen when he went back, what will happen. So I love this sort of premise. It's very intriguing because, it made me think, I'm like, what if I could change it? How would I do it? So here's the hard part. This is about, I'm going to share something that's really tough. But this is why it impacted me so much. I think I might even have to divulge the director's cut ending. Well, yeah, I think I have to. Anyways, in the movie, the director's cut is that this man, after doing this numerous times and causing great damage to his brain, because you think time travel, all that sort of, you're changing your physiology, your memories, and all this stuff. Anyways, he tried one final time. He's like, every time he's tried, something has always gone wrong, right? So he went back to the day of his birth, and basically in utero, he removed himself, let's say in utero, from being born. And that's the part that really hit me hard, because brace yourself, this is not like trauma dumping or anything like that, but it's pertinent to this discussion and why that last scene hit me so hard. I was told that my mom wanted to not have me when I was, I guess, quite far along. I don't know why it was told to me, because I was, I think, 13 or something. And it was told to me in an environment that was in front of people that, like, it should have never been done. And I always felt like I wasn't wanted and kind of sort of treated as so. And that's why throughout my life, I felt like, oh, man, if I can change this, especially after finding out this piece of information or not being wanted and feeling like I shouldn't have been here. I wish, sometimes, especially when I struggled, which I struggle with a lot, most of my life, um, which led me to do all kinds of crazy stuff, right? So in that way, I thought I sort of stayed in my own misery, that sort of feeling like every day was some sort of extreme endurance sport. And if I could, I would go back, just like the director's cut. When I first saw this movie, the alternate ending was completely different. But this time, when I saw the ending, was like, wow, I've thought about that. To not be here to feel the way I do and I did, and like if I could change that, because I've thought so many times that I would. And this sort of haunting for whatever things you've ever gone through in your life, through childhood, through adulthood, or whatever, that you felt hopeless or a sense of despair, where you're just like, this, man, this is, I didn't sign up for this endurance sport, and I don't want to do this. And not go into other stuff. But there has been times that I've been so challenged to say, let's to say that if it wasn't looking back for the hand of God in my life, keeping me going, I wouldn't be here. And and I'm still learning. Like, I thought my life was just, I was born to be this sort of somebody, a person that everybody will, beat up physically or mentally or whatever. And I was like, wait, is that my purpose? This is stupid. There's no way. I can't do this. I can't fathom having, how long do I have to stay here? And it was hard when I watched the movie a couple days ago. Like, I went to bed feeling like achy. This sorrow that was in the pit of my stomach just couldn't come out. I woke up the next morning feeling the same way. And when I was praying that morning, it was yesterday. Yesterday, I was doing an ugly cry. I did the bawling and craziness, and man, that was like my tears were. We have different cries. Like you mad cry, and the tears feel different. You sad cry, the tears felt different. And yesterday, when I was crying, it was like from the bottom of my soul that poison was being poured out of me, feeling that like that. I'm not saying it all went away. I know I'm like discussing this topic is very, very complex, deep topic, in a sort of, I'm trying to keep details at a minimum, because they're of no matter. Because if you know what that feels like, that's all that would matter. We all go through our different things, and there's no point in comparing or putting my stuff out there beyond the points that matter. So I ended up talking to my son yesterday, and we have these discussions sometimes, especially when we talk about God and all this stuff. And I shared this with him, and we're pretty open. He's a big, he's a grown man, and he said to me, and I said, that movie really tore me up because I was like, I've thought about that so many times, and he knows that. He's like, yeah, Mom, I know that, but have you thought about it this way? He pointed to the Bible and the kings of Israel, and he mentioned, he's like, there were quite a few kings that were really bad, but then there was one that came through that ended up saving people and undid the wrongs. Now, don't quote me because it's in there. You got to read it, right? But I don't remember names. And he's like, Mom, if you think about it, if you weren't here, then I wouldn't be here. So my response to that was like, well, if I weren't here, true. And, that's not why I would say I wouldn't want to be here. But because of the things that I went through, which led me to make bad choices, right? He had to go through some stuff that no kid should ever go through. I'm like, that it kills me. It hurts me so bad because not that he was just the psychological stuff of not being healthy, like being in that sort of environment that he had to experience. And now, if my mom had went through with not having me and then cause myself or to others, and that's what I was focusing on. And he's like, yeah, no, I get it, but then there's so many good things that can happen. And it was a lot more involved because we have to talk about personal things, which I won't divulge anything of his at all. So I'll just skip to what I thought about after the conversation. I'm like, okay, I get what he's saying, but my mind is more focused on like the pain of causing pain, escaping the pain, not having had to live the pain, or torturing myself with this things that I didn't do, that I was brought into. And then because I was brought into that, then I caused further pain, whatever. And then I was like, oh, big thing. Yeah, he would not be here. But then I would have never met my fur babies. I wouldn't never had experienced some of the stuff I've experienced. Good and bad. But, it's the good ones that keep us holding on. I would have never known the beauty of friendship. I would have never experienced the magic of music and how it can touch somebody's soul and heal them, or poetry, or looking at blue sky, or feeling my son's tiny little hands when he was a baby, and how it completely fit into my palm, and that was beautiful. I would have never experienced that. Granted, I'm not saying I know. I fought all these years. First in my life, I believe I have a purpose. Up until now, it's been a struggle. Let's put it that way. And so many times I've had some really dark thoughts. And for the veteran population, I know, they talk about 22 a day. Personally, I believe it's a lot more than that. Um, the struggle with it, with trauma, whether from childhood or from adulthood or from time in service, all this stuff. And I think when I saw that, all these wonderful people who felt so desperate and alone and are no longer here. What, yeah, it changed, right? Just like that man, he would go back to change things, but you can't change if you're not here. Um, Now all of us will be forever changed. Anything beautiful, the beautiful encounters we might have had with them are not here to be enjoyed, because that extreme endurance sport of life was so much so that they couldn't handle it anymore. There's no blame. And it's so sad. I know, man, this is a tough conversation. And I thought about it because I've had those thoughts too. And looking back, I'm like, oh, well, my son said really hit me. If you weren't here, then blah, 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 blah. And at any point in my life, if I would have succeeded, there's a whole bunch of things I would have never known. Wonderful people I would have never met. So why I'm sharing this is not that I have the answers. And I'm still healing. But for anybody who's ever felt like I did, and I still do sometimes, I truly believe that each one of us has each one of our lives has a divine purpose. We're part of this. If you think about tapestries, or back in the old days, we're each one of us is a piece of a tapestry that without us in it, it would be so colorless and lifeless. And for whatever reason, apparently I'm just unable to express this, but this message, I so to say this, and I'm not doing a very good job in saying it. Just know that your life has a divine purpose. And I don't know what you're going through, but I've been there. I know what that feels like. Hold on. Pray. Talk to God. I promise He's listening. And I've not just talked to God. I've screamed. I've yelled. I've basically thrown a fit. And He's okay with that too. He loves us enough to be there, to be that soft place to fall, because a true love gives you room to express. So I don't know who has to hear this, but hold on. There's a purpose. It may be painful, and it may seem like an extreme endurance sport. And in some ways it is. But there's rays of sunshine that comes through that really will revitalize you. Trust God. Trust that you're loved. and you have an impact more than you can ever even conceive of. It's like when you drop a rock in the water and the ripple goes out. It goes out. Our impact is wide. It is it reaches all kinds of places and peoples people and situations. Have hope. And this is somebody who's I've been there in a dark place where it just didn't seem worth it. I apologize for not being able to verbalize this very properly because this is a long conversation, and I wish the internet wasn't so crazy, but and also there's really no need for me to share things because you have enough pain. You know what you're feeling. I have pain. I know what I'm feeling. So in that, just know that I've been there. I felt it. I still do sometimes. But there's peace to be had. There's joy to be felt. And your life is worth it because it has divine purpose. And as a final thought, I just wanted to share the other day, it was snowing as it does here all the time. For the first time, I swear in my life, I was able to enjoy watching the snow fall. I was listening to a CD. It was kind of sort of softly playing in the other room. And I was able to enjoy watching the snowfall. And for the little bit of peace that I had watched, it was profound. And it took me this long for my hair to go gray completely. Well, I guess this part isn't gray, but I've been going gray for a long time. So it's been a long time. I'm pretty old. So it took me a long time to get to that peace. Just a little bit. But I know I can, I feel it growing. So you can find peace too. Pray. I'm praying for you guys all the time. I don't know who needed to hear this, but maybe I did. Most of the stuff is that I share is a lot of it is for me and in hopes to help somebody who's feeling like I have or I do. So I don't know who needed to hear this. You have worth. You are loved. Your life has divine purpose. Pray. Talk to God. He's listening and he's able to handle. Trust me, I said some horrible stuff because I was so angry. But he's there. He's there. Anyways, I'm going to end it here before I make a further fool of myself. You don't have to watch the movie. Just know that I think that point of that movie is that you can't change. No. Life happens. There's a purpose. Yeah, going back to thinking that if we could to fix it, man, can you imagine how chaotic if we could all do it? Move forward with God. I love you guys. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25, and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.